Hello and welcome to the Fabrity Talk podcast. Here we talk IT news, tips and tricks, use cases and case studies. If you have any questions about the subject that we cover, don't hesitate to drop us a comment or a message. If you want to know more about what we do, visit our blog at fabrity.com or check the links in the episode description. My name is Michał, I'm a digital marketing manager here at Fabrity, and with me is Jarek.
Hello everyone, my name is Jarek, I'm IT content manager here at Fabrity.
Okay Jarek, today we're going to talk about legacy systems, so quite common issue companies face these days. And the episode title is Guide to the Legacy Software Modernization. What exactly is a legacy system, legacy software?
A legacy software or legacy system, to put it simply, is an outdated computing software that is still used by a company. And it is used because usually it is business critical system. So it may still meet the needs it was originally designed for, but it does not allow for growth. So it cannot be modernized. But since it is critical, company cannot resign from it in a simple way.
So you have to do something with it, and it's aging quite fast, as usually in tech world.
In my opinion, it's like a system that was created many years ago, system that handles some business critical processes based on the old, for example, software. But since it's critical system for the company, for the business continuity, nobody wants to touch it. And that's the problem, because the system is aging, it's difficult to maintain, it cannot be integrated with newer technologies. But you have to do something with this because too much technical debt is not good for the company in the long run.
One could say that once you have something that works and it's covering all the areas it should cover, why would you bother updating it, upgrading, or doing anything at all?
Yeah, because if something works well, everybody's afraid of changing it because you don't have any guarantee that it will be working better than it's working now. So nobody wants us to touch this. And this is a way of handling things is not good in the long run because technical debt is becoming bigger and bigger. And this is especially important from the cybersecurity point of view because older systems do have some gaps and security breaches is a matter of time, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's break it down to points why one should consider doing anything with legacy software. I mean, maintenance and support is quite obvious. Companies will assume that maintaining older technologies requires experts that are not widely accessible on the market. What about integration?
It's a good point you are making about maintenance and support because the old legacy system is like being stuck in quicksand. The harder you try to move forward, the more you get pulled down. And this is true because it is very difficult to maintain and support older technologies. It costs, it takes time, and nobody's happy with the result because there are some limitations with older technologies that cannot be solved now. So the more you try, the less good comes out of it. So this is the question of taking the decision, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets to change the entire system.
Okay, and very rarely these systems live alone. Usually, you have some kind of other systems that are younger, and you are facing the topic of integration with other tools or web pages or anything like that. It's also probably quite challenging.
The problem is that the bigger the organization, the more systems it has. So over the years, for example, a big enterprise can accumulate tens or even hundreds of different systems that are somehow integrated together. Because somebody wrote an app that can integrate different systems, exchange data between them, and so on. And it is very difficult to change because you are not change one legacy systems, but you need to change the whole ecosystem of the company. This is the problem for the business growth because you need to do this change because otherwise you will not be able to integrate the system with other tools, with newer technologies.
And usually integrations between old systems and new systems could introduce some security and privacy issues when passing data from one to
Yeah,
another?
I think that the security and privacy is another topic. I think this is the main reason for doing the legacy system modernization, because the older the software you are running is, the more probably is that you will have some security issues, like some backdoors, some problems with the code that can be exploited by cyber criminals. And we know that the cyber criminals are waiting for you trying to exploit any vulnerabilities these old systems may have, because it may occur that the old system is discontinued by a provider, so there's no more updates. These security vulnerabilities are not updated, corrected. The old systems, old platforms are prone to cyber attacks, and it's just the question of security. And there's also a question of privacy. Privacy, I mean GDPR, because we are here working. Yeah, we are working here. That's a good point. Yeah, we are working in the European Union, so we have GDPR, and most systems that were created many years ago were created when there was no such a regulation. So that's the problem.
So they're simply not compliant with new regulation, new laws.
Exactly. We have to stay compliant with the current regulations, especially GDPR and personal data protection.
Okay, and if we would have a system that's quite old, it sometimes could be unreliable or offer poor user experience, which was not that important a few years ago as it's now.
I saw the corporate or enterprise systems that offered terrible user experience, because it was not at that time that the systems were created. It was not so important. It was important to streamline some process to prepare the app, but the interface, the usability, the user experience was terrible. And it's now, but everybody uses it because there's nothing, no better. So it's quite a paradox, but you can run different modern apps on your Android phone. But when you go to your work, you see that the system that works like it was 10 or 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's with a poor user interface, very poor intuitiveness, and poor usability. And there's also a question of scalability and stability in the performance, because usually the old legacy systems are on-premise systems that they are not working in the cloud. Especially
that's a good point.
In the post-COVID and the post-pandemic era, when everybody wants to work remotely, you need to have this scalability, and the cloud systems offer better scalability than on-premise systems.
All right, so let's try to list it. I mean, maintenance and support, integration with other systems, security and privacy, along with new regulations such as GDPR. Agility and efficiency of the organization are also an issue. Probably, we also mentioned some kind of lost business opportunities due to unreliable or poor user experience systems. Is it more or less correct?
Yeah, it's more or less correct. Especially, I would put strong emphasis on the lost business opportunities, because if you are using the outdated platform, you are not able to be up to date with the market changes. So maybe you are losing something. Maybe you are not even aware of the fact that you may lose some business opportunities that arise because you have outdated platform. That's the problem. The longer you wait for legacy system modernization, the greater the cost of the entire operation is. That's my point.
Okay, so we know why one would like to or should update legacy systems. So now the question is, what are the strategies? What are the strategies to do that? I think there is 7 R's, how to upgrade legacy systems, something like that.
Yeah, but before we start discuss the strategies of legacy software modernization, just let's point out one main thing. It's that one of the keys to updating legacy systems is successful data migration, because you have to maintain business continuity, and so you cannot afford losing the data of your business for the last 10 years. And usually the problem with the legacy system modernization is how to migrate the data that you are usually in the format that is not longer compatible with the modern formats to the newer system. So that's the point that should be tackled. Therefore, many companies don't want to migrate their legacy systems. They want to create some app that would allow the data exchange between older and new one systems, but this is not the solution for the long run. So in my opinion, the data migration is the crucial part of any strategy. And when talking about the strategies, we have 7 types of strategies. And the first of them is encapsulate. Encapsulation is the process of creating a layer between applications and users, and thereby exposing the app's functionality via APIs. And this approach offers a new interface for outdated components, allowing us to leverage the functionality of applications. And developers in this approach use it to build new apps on the top of old legacy systems without, what is very important, altering the underlying code. And this goal is usually achieved by using microservices.
Okay, so this is the Netflix approach, basically.
This is very good example. Yeah, you are making a very good point, because Netflix is an example of a company that utilizes encapsulation approach.
So the DVD mail-based service was encapsulated.
Yes, because the company built a new platform using microservices on top of its old existing systems. So they were able to use the old legacy systems without changing the code of them. So it was much easier, and because any changes of the code are quite risky. So this strategy was successful because they were able to use the functionalities of the older systems without changing the code, their code. That's the point.
Okay, so the second one would be rehost, probably.
But this is approach that facilitates easier migration of the entire system to a new cloud, hardware, or virtual environment. Their host approach does not change existing features, code, or the system functions.
So it's very quick.
It's very quick, and we may say it is called lift and shift strategy. It means that we are lifting the strategies from on-premise to cloud, and we are moving them to cloud so that you can use the same application but in new cloud environment. And it is quite cost-effective and very fast because you are not altering any code, just moving to the new environment.
So there was a bank in US, as far as I remember, that did that.
Yeah, I think in 2020, Capital One was the first bank in the US to have moved its data centers from legacy on-premise infrastructure to the public cloud. They wanted to create a system that would provide exceptional banking experience for its customers. And besides that, a cloud data platform would allow it to tackle multiple challenges at the same time, including, for example, real-time response, better performance, lowering operational costs, and risks related to
lower business cost also.
Yeah, of course, business costs. And it's like quite a common scenario. I think lift and shift strategy applies to the cloud transformation, and a lot of companies are using this strategy. And we don't have to say that it doesn't have to be a public cloud, because it's a question of data security. You can use your private cloud. There are a lot of companies that are offering you private cloud, that the cloud that is operated only by you, and you have your part of the cloud. There are also hybrid solutions that combining public and private cloud. So it does not have to be necessarily a public cloud, because due to the security and compliance reasons, it may not be a good solution.
Okay, so the third one would probably be something what could be considered quite close to this mentioned. I mean, replatform, but it involves some code changes.
Yeah, this is the strategy that consists in migrating application components into a new modern platform.
Mm-hmm.
The changes in the code are minimal, and you don't have to change the system's core feature or code. And this approach is attractive to companies that do not want to significantly modify their existing system, or are simply worried about how their users will adapt to a new system. So this is a less disruptive approach and usually involves only minimal code changes.
Okay, I recall that Intuit made it because they couldn't scale.
They reached a tipping point with their software, and this software company providing financial and accounting services, they simply couldn't scale any longer, and they needed simply new strategies. So to modernize their legacy data ecosystem, they used a container-based architecture to migrate its apps to a new runtime platform with modern capabilities, which led to improved security, scalability, and performance of the system. That's the very good example of this strategy of platforming.
Okay, and now something what's probably, well, quite intuitive for me, and you also can talk about refactored or refurbished. So this is refactoring of older systems.
Yeah, but it is important to underline the fact that refactoring means that you need to make more changes in the code. So you have to change code significantly, and refactoring is ideal for implementing configuration modifications, making existing code clearer and more easy to maintain. Also solving tech issues related to the old system.
Yeah, but I mean, interesting part is that you're actually maintaining existing external environment and rather playing with everything beneath.
So it's like, more rebuilding the old systems without changing the existing external environment and without changing the core functionalities. You try to, for example, enhance system non-functional features like security and performance. So you are not changing its functionality, but improving security or performance of the system.
So here probably we would call out American Airlines, wouldn't we?
Yeah, that's the good point, because they used the big monolithic application and they simply divided into smaller chunks that were more easier to manage, and the company simply used service-oriented architecture. So they could simply build a system that was performing better and had the bigger, better scalability. That's the point.
Okay, so the first four were, I would say, quite mild, and now we're going harder on it. So re-architect is probably the fifth one.
Yeah, the fifth one is a re-architect, and it involves, I think, a deeper change in the original code architecture.
So altering application's original code.
It's like, you have the old system, but you want to leverage new modern architecture approach, taking advantage of better capabilities with the aim of improving always scalability, functionality, and maintainability. And this is also important when you want to simplify the addition of new features during future integrations, because you have in mind some future development of the system, and you want to make it simpler to add new features to it.
So UK government tax department in 2022, I guess.
Yeah. I think that you must say that it costed about $5.4 billion to refresh this legacy technology. Of course, this is the tax department handling the millions of tax returns annually, but the cost of doing it was immense, and of course this public organization,
UK government, they have money.
They had money, but still it shows that re-architecting the old systems may be very time-consuming and very expensive endeavor. So of course they needed to do this. I mean that UK government needed to refresh their legacy systems because they needed to maintain the continuity of taxes in the state. So but this strategy, I don't think so, is very often used by companies because it is very costly and complex.
Only rebuild and replace left.
Yeah, we have rebuild is even more complex than re-architect, because it means that you have to create from scratch or rewrite or redesign the existing applications while maintaining their scope and specifications. And so your developers have to rewrite the legacy system components, for example, using newer technologies or newer programming language, and maintain their core functionalities, maybe adding some new ones. This approach is considered a high-risk one because a lot of changes have to be implemented to the original system, and if you are combining older and new technologies, you will never know how they integrate together, how they will work together. So it's high risk. And of course, we have the example of Domino's Pizza, because they opted to rebuild its entire ordering system from scratch using new architecture and the latest technology. Of course, they managed to do this. They were successful this approach allowed them to leverage new functionalities, including personalized customer recommendations, mobile ordering, and order tracking in real time. But still, you need to do it carefully because it's a high risk approach, and it costs a lot of work. And you need to have skilled developers on board and skilled solution architects that could help you plan the entire process.
Last but not least, replacement, complete decommissioning of the existing components of the system.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the easiest one, because you have to build a new system using the newest technology and simply just decommission the old one and, say goodbye to it once for good. And you don't have to work with the old code, with old technologies. And this strategy can be effective if existing legacy applications are expensive and difficult to maintain, insecure, and of course outdated. So rebuilding them is not doable, it's not reasonable from the business or technical or economic. It's not an option. Yeah, and the only problem I see here is that you need to ensure that the data are migrated from the older environment to the one, and this is a question of data compatibility, because usually if the system is outdated, the data format the system uses is also an outdated format. So you have to make this data compatible with the newer technologies. But this is the crucial point. But the replacement strategy
do you have an example in mind?
I think that the good example of a company that did such kind of replacement is Nokia. And they used the legacy system modernization replace approach. The story is that the dawn of Industry 4.0 meant that the company's productive potential was severely limited by using legacy systems in Wi-Fi and cable operation. They replaced the outdated system with the Windows Phone, and therefore company was able to explore new and better capabilities, including app development and improved user interface. That's the point. So sometimes it's no point of messing up with older systems, just it is easier to replace them from scratch.
Okay, but it's probably not that easy to do so. I mean, this is quite an effort. So let's try to repeat that. So we've got encapsulation and the Netflix example.
Yes.
We've got rehost and US Bank Capital One example.
Yes.
Replatform.
Yes, and the example of a company that is called Intuit, a software company providing financial and accounting software services.
Okay, American Airlines and their refactoring of the system, and the UK government was
Re-architect.
Thank you. So we've got also rebuilding, and it was Domino's Pizza and replacing, and you mentioned Nokia due to Industry 4.0.
Yes, exactly. But of course, it is not easy to do this because there are several problems or challenges you need to consider before embarking on legacy system modernization. The very first thing I would like to say is the risk to the business continuity, because if something is business critical and it works okay, nobody wants to touch it because everybody is afraid of the risk of the business disruption. It is very difficult. The legacy systems usually are the old systems that have been working for many years and are critical for business continuity of the company, that are core systems like banking or financial institutions. And without the system, you cannot make a business and you cannot make money. So it's very difficult in the area. So that's the main point. And before doing any updates to the legacy system, you need to prepare a very detailed strategy.
And let's be honest, not every legacy system has got a good paperwork and good documentation. Yeah,
documentation, exactly. Yeah, that's the problem, because it's like, if a company has been functioning on the market for many years, probably the systems were created at the very beginning. They were simply maybe updated or not. The documentation was lost or even didn't exist. Yeah, and people that were creating the system don't work at this company anymore, so nobody knows the intricacies of the system. So therefore everybody is afraid of touching anything because they don't want know how any changes may interfere with the system function, with this integration and so on and so on. So that's the problem. It's like a problem of technical debt. Sometimes the technical debt is okay because you are doing this to roll out the product, so you can afford some level of technical debt. But if the technical debt becomes bigger and bigger, it becomes a very big problem for business continuity and for the company. So I think the good advice is not to allow that your technical debt is rising. And I think that the problem of legacy system is that there are also on-premise systems that are not, up to the challenges related to the remote work when it comes to the scalability and performance, for example. But this is the business disruption is one of the problems. There is also question that there are usually complex legacy ecosystems because, as I mentioned, the system is integrated with many other systems in the company. And since there is no documentation and the people that created these integrations don't work in this company anymore, so nobody knows how exactly the system is integrated with other systems. So they don't want to touch anything because something else might stop working.
Okay,
that's
and
the point.
Probably the last one worth mentioning is that, these modernizations are very rarely done on one step, so the users will suffer probably from negative experience.
Yeah, the users will suffer, and last but not least, it's about the money, because if you have an outdated system, it takes some time and it requires some resource investment. You need to have money. If you have money, you need to have skilled professionals, IT specialists, solutions architects that could help you with the modernization. I think even money is less important than people that can do this, and this is one of the main challenges. So therefore, a lot of organizations simply hesitate to do this, and because
it's still working, and maybe we will keep it for another year instead of spending.
Yeah, exactly. But also because there's a huge demand for IT specialists on the market, and they didn't have internal resources to do the migration process. I think that's the best, and they do not have any experience. So it would be better for such organizations to hire a company that could handle the entire process for them, the company with the experience in regards to software modernization. Because such company could have people, specialists, solutions architects, like with experience in similar projects.
I think we've done it, Jarek. So
we covered most of the issues related to the legacy software modernization approaches, reasons for modernizing the legacy software, what is the technical debt.
Okay, let us know what do you think about it in comments. And thank you for today, Jarek, and thank you for listening. It was Michał, Digital Marketing Manager from Fabrity, and
Jarek, IT Content Manager from Fabrity.
See you next time.
Bye.